we have automatic belts. Not for pants. That would be nice. Conveyor belts for our factory. It's making them for us now. Yes, it's amazing. Hello, Legion. This is Hadrian. Thank you for being here. Let's play some more Dyson Sphere Program in our brand new Alpha Andromedae series. So we are well on our way. I mentioned at the end of the last episode that I wanted to go ahead and queue up some additional research projects, and then we need to start thinking about refining oil now that we have that option. So environment modification is available to us. I definitely want to go ahead and queue that up. It's going to take 400 electromagnetic matrices, so it's not going to be over in the next couple of seconds, but as you can see, the research tower is already working on it. Most of the research projects on the tech tree already require the next level of matrix, which is the energy matrix. So we're not going to be able to do too much more without advancing, but whatever projects I can queue up, okay, here we go. This is the project for the energy matrix. But notice the resources going into the energy matrix. What in the world is that thing, you might ask? You recognize the energetic graphite. We make that from coal. But what's that thing? That's hydrogen. So yeah, we kind of need hydrogen. And we don't have hydrogen. You know why? Because you get hydrogen from the oil refinery process. There are other ways to get it too. But the main way we're going to get it right away is from the oil refining process. So I'm also going to go ahead and queue up Universe Exploration Level 2, which will require some, like a decent amount of electromagnetic matrices. Maybe by the end of this series, however many hundreds of episodes it'll have, which is likely, by the way. Maybe I'll learn how to say that without tripping over my words. But for now, we're just gonna stutter madly every single time we try to say electromagnetic matrices. Okay, yeah. So most of the other upgrades that we can queue up require the energy matrices as well. So the environment modification will give us the ability to pave this over, which we really need to do in order to have a proper factory going here. So one way I could speed this process up a little bit is, since I have manual research turned on and I'm using the inventory items that are available to me, I can go ahead and grab a couple of stacks. Since I have so many of these, you can tell there's just copious amounts of these resources going into overflow. And I can tell Icarus to build a number of my own data cubes. So now I'm essentially helping with the process. And I'm going to just have it consume absolute... Oh, wait, hang on. There we go. So that's every last one. Let's see if we can't do... Nope. Done. So that is as much as I'm going to help, but that will help bring the total down a little bit faster. And while that is going on, let's see what else we can do. I mentioned at the end of the last episode as well, first thing we wanted to do was get some automation set up for our belts. And I'm going to go ahead and grab a few more here because we're going to need them. And we probably... It's saying lack of material, so I'm already out of iron ingots. Here we go. So before I get over to what I was about to say, which is we're going to work on getting glass set up, we need to see what's going on with our metal production. It seems like even with 4, we're not doing quite enough. So, since I built in some room for this, that's not the end of the world. Unfortunately, though, I just queued up all of these. So hang on, I'm going to have to cancel that. We're going to build 2 of those, and now I'll queue this back up. Okay, we don't need those. Going to cancel that. All right, so we're going to increase our iron ingot production again. Because I believe the main thing that's happening is the steel production is sucking those ingots off the line faster than my current apparatus can really keep up. And also, I think... Oh, that would be an excellent place. But we can do even better than that. Hang on. I'm just testing the spacing here. I don't actually have room to build these. So it would be there. Okay, that's good. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So we're going to put that Tesla tower right there. I've had a surprisingly good run not saying Tesla coil so far, so we'll see how long that keeps up. What's required for the mining speed upgrade? That's definitely one thing I'm going to start being interested in, given what's happening with our metal. If we increase the rate at which the basic resource is coming in, that's going to be kind of a good thing. All right, so now that that's done, yeah, notice what's happening at this point. We're actually sucking up our iron ore faster than we're bringing it in from the mine. So that upgrade couldn't come fast enough because unfortunately, this particular, like these two new smelters that we just built are not doing very much. So I think what I'm going to do to kind of help this problem along is I'm going to go ahead and cut off my steel production. I don't need my steel for anything right now, and as a result of not needing it, so watch what's happened. Because I've just told my storage that I want it to cut off at 5 boxes, and it already has more than 5 in there. Or 5 stacks, I should say. The line here has started to back up. And as soon as the line is fully backed up, these will stop producing steel and they'll start storing steel inside. Now, these can store 100 steel each, unfortunately. So it will still, they'll still be sucking some stuff off the line for just a moment, but it'll get better sooner than later. So we just have to hold out while that's happening. This line is backing up, and I'll be okay with that. And one of the nice things about that much buffer building up inside the arc smelters for steel is that when I do need to grab one of these stacks out, what will immediately happen is it'll pretty much get replaced almost instantaneously by everything that's waiting on the line and waiting within the machines. And the machines won't take terribly long because it's 2 machines and they each hold 100 steel. So half, they're already going to contain more than double what I will be taking out if I take a single stack of steel. So my point is that when I do that, and this part of the production chain resumes, and it recreates the problem that I'm currently trying to avert, it won't do it for very long. It'll fill back up quite quickly, and then the metal will go back to feeding into these buildings. So let's see if that improved things somewhat. Going to take a look down this direction. It seems like for the most part, metal is now not getting past here, which means there's not a lot of automation happening in this direction. So some different things that we could do to address this. The most straightforward, yes, we can increase our mining speed, true enough, but we could also just build a second mine and just double the input, which is what we're going to do. That's how we're going to handle it. Again, mentioned this last episode. Oh, cool. We finished our research on semiconductors. Let me see if I can get all of these nodes. That would be amazing if I can get all of them. If you can really finagle the placement. Perfect. All right, so that's plenty of iron right there. And once again, I'm going to have to cancel my research production, but that's okay. Okay. All right, so now what I'm going to do, I don't have a splitter at the moment, but I will shortly. Right now, I think I only have one splitter set up, and that's over here. Yeah, these are not being consumed at the moment because we're completely out of metal. So we need to just address this problem by bringing in additional metal. We can more than double this rate of input, which should help a lot. So what we will do... Oh, I can see exactly what I'm going to do. Here we go. Let's go ahead and delete a few lines there for just a moment. We're going to build up once again. I'm going to cancel that. We're at that very interesting early stage where I'm still having to replicate a fair number of things. Oh, I had already queued up a sorter. All right. I thought I did. Anyway, we're at that very interesting early stage where we're having to queue up a lot of things in the replicator so that we can continue moving forward. Before long, all of this will be automated. the amount of things that we'll actually be able to just do on our own. As in, sorry, I should really choose better words than that. The amount of things that we'll be able to just pick up from within our base is going to be astronomically higher. And it's fantastic. All right, so now we have a new metal mine kicking in. And it actually seems to be producing metal faster than the first one. Let's see, because it's covering 7 veins. So yeah, this is... Although I think the reason it's producing that fast is that it filled up a little bit while I was building the conveyors. So that it probably will not stay that tightly packed, but it might now that I'm combining it with this line. So now we've solved that problem somewhat. Let's return to what I was going to bring up before I noticed that happening, which is that we need to build some additional smelters. So I'm once again going to cancel my progress there on those. And let's just do 10 outright. Looks like I've already got all the sorters that I need, so I think I can safely go back. How many times in one episode have you seen me do this now? Like at least 6 or 7? Listen to my mouse furiously click in the background. That's funny. Oh, hold on. That would help. That's just a silly mistake. So I'm glad that happened in the video, though, because that's one example of something that you have to keep an eye on when you're making quick fixes and maybe starting to panic a little bit. Sometimes you make silly mistakes like that, and it takes a moment for you to realize the error. So that should really help speed things up a bit. As a matter of fact, to help things along here, I'm going to give this a second input, similar to some of our other storages. There we go. Look at that. It's already a lot better, and we're starting to see some iron ingots sneak past those first 4 assemblers that are pulling from this line. This is a very hungry spot here, because these pull iron and these pull iron. So in order for any metal to make it past here, you have to have a really decent rate of production, and it seems that we do. So that's quite nice. Now, that being done, let's come over here and finally do something about our glass, shall we? Okay, so I think I'll just do one line feeding directly out like so. We'll keep it short for now. Notice that when I plop down buildings where there's a little bit of elevation, I gain what's called soil pile. That will be very useful when I start paving stuff momentarily. I say paving, we're just going to move some of the dirt around. It's not going to look like pavement. I can make it look like pavement if I want to, but again, we're going to kind of avoid doing that to this planet at least. We might do it on other planets, but I like to keep the home planet green and gorgeous. Especially now that we have clouds and sunset effects on the clouds. It's just so nice. Let's keep it that way. All right. Now, I do need... Are you freaking kidding me? All right. Cancel that. Okay, so it does seem that the project I'm working on now requires energy cubes, so I wasn't really paying attention to queuing some of the things that I queued up. I don't even think I meant to queue up that particular project. So now we're just going to research the energy matrices so that we can actually build that. Now, I think, yeah, that's should be good. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty perfect. So we're going to have 2 producing each type of resource. So we're going to have stone bricks, and then we're going to have glass. And then we'll have 2 lines side by side. Notice that we have an additional construction drone now. And one thing to keep in mind as well when you're building sorters, if you have them stretch over 2 spaces like this, it does in fact slow down the process a bit. It can cut it in half because it has to travel farther going back and forth as they move things onto the line. So just bear that in mind. And here we go. I think what I may do is go ahead, since I have so many resources being pulled off of that line, I'm going to go ahead and queue up some more sorters. And we're going to do what I've done many times now. Oh, hello. I did not mean to do that. There we go. So now we've doubled the stone input there, which will help these all stay productive. So now we have both stone bricks and glass being produced. And I suppose I'll go ahead and do... Yeah, the buffers need to be in a slightly different place, I would say. I might put them in a slightly less organized spot here. Let's see. Storage. Yeah, let's go ahead and just build all 5. It'll take a moment for those to build. We're almost done with our research on energy matrices, so we'll be able to build a second tower producing a separate type of cube. But again, in order to produce those cubes, we need to refine oil. And in order to refine oil, we need to have glass set up, because oil requires prisms. You'll see in just a moment what we need. So we need to get an oil extractor set up. And oil extractors require plasma exciters, which require prisms. So we could automate the production of those. I'm not really worried about that, but we could if we wanted to. I'll automate the production of... When I say automate the production of those, I mean we can automate the production of oil extractors, but we might automate the production of... That's what I was talking about. Not the oil extractors, but the plasma exciters. We can automate the production of prisms, though. Prisms are assembled, not smelted. So I would have to build additional assemblers, and I have that. Ooh, I am running low on power. Good to know. Let's go ahead and take a look at what options we might have for fixing that. I'm going to grab some gears here. Just going to pull them straight off the line. Starting to see a little bit of a backup with our metal, which is fantastic. That's kind of what I want to see. It's not perfect, but we're getting there. Especially when we're not doing active research. Should be fine. Like this line will fill completely up, I think. Because we're no longer producing these at the same rate. Did I put a limit on these? No, I didn't. That's one thing that would help. I'm going to go ahead and just limit these to 10 slots each. And what you'll see is immediately they'll start to back up, which should help with the consumption of iron ingots. So notice that I'm kind of proactively imposing limits on how much some of these storages that are sucking up so many of these buffered resources and overflowed resources, I'm imposing limits on how much they're doing that so that they stop doing that sooner. That's the purpose of a limit. And then the line can back up, and the resource production buildings that are building those things using the resources that I'm running low on will stop producing, which will enable other buildings that need those things to have more access to them kind of automatically, especially if you've built a solid production chain. So let's get one of those built. And it looks like I need more iron ingots. That's fine. I'm just going to sit on this line for a moment and pull a few in that way. Perfect. All right, so now I should have 2 more to add to the daisy chain. And we'll take a look at our power situation. Much better. All right, so yeah, we were hitting our capacity there, but now we've just added about 5 megabytes over the top. Megawatts over the top. Okay, so I've got those storages built. There's a part of me that's tempted just to put them right here, you know? Or maybe like right here. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. One interesting thing about Dyson Sphere Program, I've mentioned that there's no one like right way to do all these things. and that your personality might differ in such a way that like you have a more or less organized base, or that you organize your base in a different way. There's a multiplayer mod for Dyson Sphere Program. From what I understand, multiplayer will be coming officially to the game in the future, but for now there's a multiplayer mod. And I was playing with a friend once that just really felt determined to have automatic production for everything, because that was their preference. And it's interesting because I don't necessarily feel like everything needs to be automatically produced, but that person did. And so you can kind of, not only do you have different preferences for how you play and how you, like what you automate and what you don't, but then on top of that, every planet that you're on, everything that you do, everything that you build, every game that you start, like, I'm not following a blueprint here. I have some best practices, obviously, that I follow, and I've tried to kind of explain what I'm doing as I've started things off here. But I'm still making choices that I've never made before. I've never had glass and stone storage that looks like this, that sits down the line just like this, where the two lines are side by side. I've never quite done that. Oh, by the way, notice the night lights coming on as the sun sets. Isn't that cool? Oh, wow, hang on. The sun is actually behind Alpha Andromedae 1 right now. So we've got a bit of an eclipse. Look at that. Oh, it's about to come around the corner. Look at that. I'm telling you, this game is gorgeous. Plenty of Hadrian moments to come. Let's go ahead and turn off these tutorial prompts because I don't need them. So now that we've got some of that stuff going, I mentioned that I was going to automate the production of prisms, and we do need to do that. So let's go ahead. I mean, I suppose I could automate the production of plasma exciters. It wouldn't be the worst thing, but I would need to pull... Yeah, see, that's the thing. I would need to pull a resource over that would take a good amount of effort. So I think I'd rather just have prisms automatically produced for now. Might change my mind later. But for now, that's what we're doing. So now those prisms are going to be set up. And I don't think I'm even going to use a storage for those. I think what I'll do is I'll just pull the prisms from this production building, which is something you can do. You know, I don't have to rely on my replicator all the time for things, you know? I think that's what I'll do for the prisms. So having said that, I need an oil extractor, and it looks like I have the ability to build one. So let's do that. And I also need some refiners. I'm going to go ahead and queue up 4. And I already have in my inventory some of the stone that I need to build these things. So I didn't necessarily need to have the automation. I already had some of that in my inventory to pull from. So remember what the yellow circle with the white caution line means. You can't really see the white caution line when you're zoomed out, but yellow circles indicate that a building is full. So I could help that along, actually, by... Part of the reason that's happening is we've got a longer sorter here, so it's taking a moment to pull stuff off the line because it has to go back and forth over a larger space. So oil refining in Dyson Sphere Program is one of the more mind-bending aspects when you're first trying to do it. Once you kind of understand the efficient way to refine oil in Dyson Sphere Program, you'll be fine. But before then, it can get pretty crazy. So let's go ahead and place an oil extractor down on this oil seep. This is a 3.2924 per second oil seep, which is a pretty good start. And I want to have... There we go. So there's a couple things I can do here. I already have one storage tank from when I finished the research, but I would like to go ahead and grab some additional iron ingots so that I can build an additional storage tank. Because just like we have for our solid resources, now that we're going to have a liquid resource for the first time, we would like there to be a buffer for oil so that we can have tanks filling up even if the oil's not going anywhere. I want the production apparatus to be running. So let's grab, it looks like our storage for iron ingots is filling back up now, which is really good. That's happening because of those limits I imposed here earlier. So our main goal right now, again, is to work towards being able to build energy matrices, and we need hydrogen to do that. So that's going to come from the fuel refining process. And I'm going to go ahead and queue up, let's say, I might not be able to get away with a stack of 4, so I'll queue up a total of 4. I have 1 in my inventory already, and we're almost done. As you can see, it's taking a moment to get these refineries finished, but should be done momentarily. I can't remember if these build one at a time, not 2 at a time. So in about 30 seconds or so, those 4 will build, and then we have these storages that will build. One thing I could do is I could go ahead and just say, like, well, let me just build 1 oil refinery at a time. Follow the principle that I was saying earlier in the series, where I said, let's just build 1 at a time so that we're not taking too much time waiting for a stack of things to build, which we're seeing that right now. That's why I built a lot of things 1 at a time right when we started off, just so there wasn't too much of this. But it's fine. We're almost there anyway because I talked my way through it. So this thing is powered, but it's not running yet because I don't have anywhere for the oil to go. But I think where I would like the storage for the oil to be, I think I want it relatively close, actually, to the pump, because I want the refining operation to be close by. All right, let me clear a few of these. Again, when you clear plants and stones on the ground by just building things, you don't gain the resources from harvesting them with Icarus. It's not a huge change, but it's something to keep in mind. All right, while he's doing that, watch this. Notice that the construction drones are still working even though I'm executing my orders there. So just did 2 things at once, and now we have liquid encapsulation because we are starting to use liquid storage for the first time, and we are filling up with crude oil here now that we're extracting that from the ground. So we need to get some refineries set up, don't we? The way that refineries work is unlike everything you have seen in the game so far. Refineries, you know what? I think what I'll do is have them running this way. Perfect. Refineries, unlike everything you've seen in the game so far, take one particular resource and they output 2 resources. Yeah. So you have to use the controls in a slightly more nuanced way. And let me tell you, the very first time that I ever set up oil refining in Dyson Sphere Program, let me just say, if I were to do it in a stream, I would get laughed off of YouTube. Maybe that's a little bit mean, but you get my point. I don't think I would actually get laughed off of YouTube, but it was ridiculous. I would feel super, super absurd if that were to make it into a series. But the reason that I say that is to use myself as an example. Like, if you feel a little silly, especially when you see how I set this up in a moment, and you go, oh, that's how you do it. Or one of the ways, again, because there's multiple ways you can do it. If you feel a little silly when you see how quickly I set it up, just understand it took me a while to get there. So all of these refineries are working. And they are producing from crude oil, refined oil, and hydrogen. Hey. So that means that in the next episode of Alpha Andromedae, what we are going to be able to do is we're going to come over here, give Icarus a minute to fly. We're going to come over here, and we're going to set up another tower. And that tower will be taking in hydrogen, which I'm going to have to run a pretty long line for the hydrogen, but that's fine. It'll be running hydrogen, and it'll be taking energetic graphite as well, which I'm producing over here. And that will produce the energy matrices, the red cubes, which will also feed into this central tower. And then I'll be able to continue with my research. And one of the things that's going to be coming up very soon after that is our first interplanetary expedition. And it's honestly coming a little sooner than I would have expected, so I'm pretty excited about it, if you can't tell. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this one, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to follow along. New episodes in Alpha Andromedae are coming out every day at noon U.S. Eastern Time. Comments are always welcome. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you next time.